Yeah, I'm going to lose half my followers with this one, but fuck it, let's say it. The Australian domestic violence system is absolutely fucked, and it is the lead cause for men unaliving themselves. People are only being shown what's on the surface. What are the statistics in Australia at current? It is 25% of perpetrators are female, 75% of perpetrators are male. Now, in no way, shape or form am I going to neglect that there are female victims of domestic violence. There are male perpetrators, and male perpetrators, when getting aggressive, can be extremely dangerous. But no one seems to give a fuck about the emotional abuse that can come from the female perpetrators. Did you know that in October 2022, the Australian government bought out a grant for women leaving domestic violence relationships, offering up to $15,000 per case? Obviously, domestic violence matters skyrocketed, majorly. Did you know that females have access to free legal, while men have to pay around $500 an hour for people who just don't give a shit? Did you know that females are offered free support from the get-go? Men have to source it themselves, and 9 times out of 10, it ain't free based on your income. Oh, and here's the kicker. 49% of males do not talk about domestic violent matters in home because of how society has constructed them to think, feel, and act. So if the government statistics of 49% of males will not speak up about their emotions or domestic violent matters that happen inside their own home, what's the real percentage of domestic violence matters in home? Now, with all that said thereof, think about this. A man is being accused of domestic violence matters because the female perpetrator knows that they can get $15,000 for making an accusation. That man likely can't pay money to have legal representation or even understand the processes that are in place before him. That man, because he can't afford it, then gets a domestic violence order against him. He then, and now forward, is a male perpetrator. Now let's look at any job nowadays. Look at government jobs. You cannot get a government job with a domestic violence order. You cannot get a job working with kids with a domestic violence order. You cannot get a job working in schools with a domestic violence order. Civil cases, there may be some leeway, but criminal cases, definitely not. Now let's talk about the abuse that a female perpetrator may have over a male if they have a DV claim against them, if there's kids involved. It's my way or the highway. You don't like it, I call the police again, I have you arrested, you go to jail. How's that sound? Now, I said from the start, there are male perpetrators. There are real cases where men hurt women. And fuck them. They deserve to rot in prison. Right now, the grant for leaving a domestic violence matters relationship for a female is $5,000. It's reduced from $15,000, but it's advertised so much more. I had a problem nearly 3 weeks ago where one of my neighbors was punching walls and yelling aggressively. I called the police. My neighbor's punching walls. My neighbor's yelling aggressively. It's midnight. He's gonna wake up my daughter. The first thing the police officer said, is he male? Does it fucking matter? If he identified as a fucking goldfish, he's still punching walls, yelling and screaming at midnight. Fucking come quick. Rant over. In 2019, it was made clear that a female cannot be done for perjury in a courtroom. This was for the intent that they didn't want to stop real female victims of domestic violence from coming forward. They didn't want them to be fearful to come forward. But that paved way for a lot of women to make up whatever they wanted as they wanted. And if they got caught lying, slap on the wrist, don't do it again. But if a male committed perjury in a courtroom, jail time. Domestic violence is not just assault. Domestic violence is coercion. Domestic violence is manipulation. Domestic violence is smear campaigns. Domestic violence is blame shifting. Domestic violence is gaslighting. Domestic violence can be found anywhere verbally. And there's a major portion of men that suffer this on a daily basis that don't talk about it. 49% to be exact. My subjective opinion on this is men need to start speaking up. Men need to start speaking out, and collectively men need to start supporting one another to come forward and make complaints about their domestic violence matters in home. Otherwise, the shit show is not going to end. If you want to book me as your personal coach, my link is in the bio.